Hello, AP Psych kids, and welcome to our last section on Chapter 4, Neurobiology. We're looking at the two hemispheres of the brain. So let's get into this. The brain, this is kind of a little short chapter, and yes, this is going to mess with you. It's an optical illusion to hurt your head. So we have our house divided, our split brains. The two hemispheres, as we mentioned in the last video, communicate through the corpus callosum. Now, Dr. Ronald Myers and Roger Sperry, I'm sure they're doctors, experimented with severing the corpus callosum in cats and then later humans. They did this to treat epilepsy or seizures. And so they found out that it worked. Personalities and intelligence remained largely intact. Memory and perception were affected a little bit, but not drastically. In fact, for their work of doing this, Sperry won the Nobel Prize. He's one of, I think, 4 or 5 Nobel Prize winners in the field of psychology. In 1981, he won this. The left side of our brain is more associated with language. It's where we get the idea of left brain and right brain. The right side is more visual. You need both sides. We're not one or the other. We're just maybe a little more dominant to one or the other. They've done blindfold studies when they severed the corpus callosum, and they had people cover up their left eye. So the right eye, which goes to the left brain, if they showed a word apple, they couldn't read it. Actually, we went to the brain. They could read it, but if they showed the picture, they couldn't understand what it was. But if they had the word apple, they could read it. Likewise, if they did covered up the right eye, which the left eye could see, goes to the right brain, they could not read the word apple, but they could recognize the picture. This is only if the corpus callosum was severed. If we did that, because they communicate, wouldn't have that problem. So split brain operations are still being performed to this day. People may be dominant to one side, but you need both to constantly communicate with each other. The right side was put down for a long time for being the slacker side and the artistic side. But you absolutely need it. It's critical in spatial, visual problem solving, facial recognition, and reading faces as well. We're also going to go into section 6 here on 2 stubborn issues of brain research. So all these parts of the brain, where are you? You could say it's personality, but there's got to be something more going on, right? The mind, consciousness, self-awareness, where is that? That's a difficult one. Some people would say this is the wrong subject. We should be going theology. It's the soul. Are there his and her brains? This is a very funny thing here. How to arouse a man. You turn on the switch, or women, you got to turn all these dials and push different buttons. Women's brains have 11% more cells in the areas of the cortex dealing with auditory information. The frontal lobes and limbic systems are larger in women. The parietal cortex and the amygdala is larger than men, so maybe the body stuff, so temperature and pain, but also fear and anger. Women have more complicated brains, more cortical folds, and women use both sides of the brain when listening, whereas men just use one side because we're thinking about sports. On the other side, I'm not sure. There are issues with these conclusions from these findings, though. These supposed gender differences are stereotypes. They might be societal. We can't tell if that was how the brain was structured, or was that how the brain was, developed because society said it should be that way. Brain differences not necessarily explain behavior and performance, and then sex differences in the brain could be the result of rather the cause of behavioral differences. And so it's just complicated. Pretty much in meta-analysis of intelligence tests, pretty much everything men and women are equally the same. That's all I got for this chapter. Pretty brief. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, let me know. Moving on to sensation. Nope, consciousness next. I forgot. Take care.